Hi everyone, today we're going to go over the study guide for 7.5 to 7.7. Remember, if you are a remote learner, you're still expected to take your quiz during your scheduled geometry period. List the three trig ratios. Well, we have sine, cosine, and tangent. All right, so for A through F, use your calculator to solve. And so for A, B, and C, all you're going to do is plug that right into your calculator. So if you plug in cosine of 21, press enter, you should get 0.93. If you plug in sine of 43 in your calculator, you will get 0.67. And if you plug in tangent of 73 into your calculator, you get 3.27. Now, there will be some questions like this on the quiz tomorrow, so please make sure your calculator is in degree mode, okay? So don't just write these down in your study guide, actually plug them in your calculator, make sure you're getting those numbers. If you're not, reach out to me and I can kind of help you get your calculator into degree mode. D through F, we're going to do the inverse trig functions. So the first one is inverse sine of 18 divided by 30, and we get 36.87. Inverse tan of 11 divided by 15, you get 36.25. And inverse cosine of 3 divided by 22, you end up getting 82.16. For A through F, use triangle ABC to set up each trig ratio. So we're just setting up our fractions here. We're not really solving, just writing our ratio. So if I'm starting with A, so sine of A, we know that that is opposite over hypotenuse. So we end up getting 20 divided by 52. Now both 20 and 52 are divisible by 2, but I'm just going to keep it like this. I don't need to simplify that fraction at all. All right, cosine of A, well, here's the adjacent side, and 52 is the hypotenuse, so our ratio is 48 divided by 52. Tangent of A, well, tangent is opposite over adjacent, and so we get 20 divided by 48. Next, let's focus on angle B. And so if we're trying to find the cosine of angle B, well, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that would be 20 over 52. Tangent of B, well, we have opposite over adjacent, so that is 48 divided by 20. And then sine of B, it would be opposite over hypotenuse, and that would be 48 over 52. You will also have questions like this on the quiz tomorrow. Don't miss these easy questions, all right? Next, we're going to use our trig ratios to solve for x. All right, so if this is my angle measure, 50, I need to decide which trig function am I going to use. Well, 21 is going to be the opposite side, and x is across from the 90-degree angle, meaning it's the hypotenuse. So if we have opposite and hypotenuse, we will be using sine. So sine of our angle measure, which is 50, is equal to the opposite side, which we said is 21, over the hypotenuse, which we said is x. So if I'm solving for x, I need to get this x out of the denominator. And the only way to do so is to multiply each side by x, because what I do to one side, I also have to do to the other. So now those x's cancel, and I'm left with x times sine of 50 is equal to 21. Well, I still don't have x by itself. So to do so, I need to divide by sine of 50 on each side. So I'm going to do 21 divided by sine of 50 as well. So those cancel, and that leaves me with x is equal to 21 divided by sine of 50. And if I plug this right into my calculator, 21 divided by sine of 50, we get approximately 27.41. Now tomorrow on the quiz, I will tell you exactly where to round to. All right, part B. So my angle measure is here. I need to solve for x. So if I look at where my angle measure is, x would be the opposite side, and 34 is the adjacent side, meaning I'm going to use tangent here. So tangent of 24 is equal to opposite, which we know is x, over the adjacent side, which is 33. So now I need to solve for x. I have 33 in the denominator this time, which means I need to multiply each side by 33. So those cancel, and I'm left with 33 times tangent of 24 is equal to x. So I just plug that right into my calculator, and when you do so, you end up getting 14.69 is approximately x. All right, part C. Here's my angle measure. So I notice that x is going to be adjacent, and 15 is across from the 90-degree angle, meaning it's the hypotenuse. So this time I'm going to use cosine. So cosine of 70 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, so x over 15. So multiply by 15 on each side. These 15s cancel, so I'm left with 15 times cosine of 70 is equal to x. So when you plug this right into your calculator, you get approximately 15.13 for x. Use the given angles and trig ratios to find y. So there's many different options here that I can choose to solve for y because I have both the angle measures. I have 20 and 70. So I'll use 70 here. Like I said, it doesn't matter which one you use. So I'm going to ignore this 20 degrees then since I'm focusing on 70. And I have this side here, 15, which that would be the adjacent side to 70. And then y is the hypotenuse. So since I have adjacent and hypotenuse, I'm going to use cosine here. So cosine of 70 is equal to 15 over y. I'm going to multiply each side by y because I need to get that y out of the denominator, which means those will cancel. So y times cosine of 70 is equal to 15, but y is still not by itself. I need to get rid of this multiplication of cosine 70 by dividing by cosine 70 on each side. So those cancel. So y is equal to 15 divided by cosine 70. And when you plug that in your calculator, you get approximately 43.86. Use a trig ratio to find the angle and then circle your answer. Since we're working with angles, we're going to use inverse trig functions for this. So first I need to figure out what is angle F. So I'm given this side, which would be the adjacent side to angle F. I'm given this side, which is the opposite side. So in this case, I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of theta, that's what we're searching for. We don't know what that angle measure is equal to 15 over 11. Well, remember when we're trying to solve for angle measures, we use the inverse. So inverse tan of 15 over 11. Plug that right into your calculator and you get approximately 53.75 degrees. For number 2, or for letter B, we want to solve for h this time. Now looking at our two side lengths, I have this opposite side, and I also have a hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So sine of theta, the angle we're looking for, is equal to 14 over 26. So if I'm looking for my angle measure, I'm going to use inverse sine. So inverse sine of 14 over 26. That will equal, and it's approximately 32.58 degrees. For part C, we're trying to find M here. So I know this side, which is the adjacent side. I know this side here, which is the hypotenuse. So adjacent and hypotenuse would be cosine. So cosine of theta is equal to adjacent 9 over the hypotenuse, which we know is 22. Inverse cosine. So inverse cosine of 9 over 22. Plug that right into your calculator, and you get approximately 65.85. So here are the last two problems, and they're both word problems. So based on the following information, how tall is the building? All right, so if I look here, this is the building. So I'm trying to figure out how tall is this entire building. Well, if I look at the firefighter, he's on a ladder. And this ladder makes a 75-degree angle with the fire truck. And I also know that the ladder is 12 feet tall. So if I can figure out how tall is the building from this point here to the top of the building, I then see that the fire truck is, from right here, 10 feet tall. I can add 10 to whatever I get for x to figure out the height of the burning building. So let's start with finding x. All right. So am I going to use sine, cosine, or tangent here? Well, I'm going to use sine. So sine of my angle measure, which is 75, is equal to the opposite side, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 12. I need to get 12 out of the denominator, so I'm going to multiply each side by 12 so that those cancel. And 12 times sine of 75 will give me x. Plug this right into your calculator, and we get approximately 11.59 is equal to x. But now remember, that's not the height of the entire building. I need to add 10 to that to figure out the entire length of the burning building. So 11.59 plus 10 feet gives us 21.59, which will be our final answer. All right, so for our last problem here, if a 20-foot ladder leans against a wall at an angle of 60 degrees, how high will it reach up the wall? Draw a picture. So we know we're going to draw a right triangle. The ladder here is 20 feet. We know this angle here is 60. I need to figure out how far up the wall does the ladder hit. All right, well, for here I have the adjacent side and the hypotenuse, so I'm going to use cosine. So cosine of 60 is equal to x over 20. Multiply 20 on each side. Those 20s cancel. So 20 times cosine of 60 will give you x. So when you plug this right into your calculator, you get that 10 is equal to x. And you're done.